Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Geek Node podcast. This week we are very, very fortunate to be joined by Richard Boorman, the head of communications from Showmax. If you don't know what Showmax is, it is a South African TV show and movie streaming site. You can get apps installed. There's, as you can see, a Samsung TV behind me there. I've got a Showmax app installed on it. Click, 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 stream. All good. So we've got Richard. Marco is joining us again. Nice to see you again, of course, Marco.
Hi.
And Richard, absolute pleasure to have you here. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little, doing a little introduction of sorts.
Sure thing. I've got to say, I start with a complaint here that I was watching one of the previous episodes and you had Paul with the panda hat. With no panda hat. I went hunting for a panda hat and I had none. Sorry about that.
That's all right. They are hard to find. I love that hat of his. I have got a latex unicorn hat, which I'm keeping it in the cupboard as much as possible because people generally look at me a bit weird when they find out I actually have one. But it was a present. But
the best I could do was my camel warning sign from Dubai, showing I've been a good tourist here. Sorry, right? I've derailed things completely. Yes, wrong. I'm the head of communications, or the chief spin doctor, I guess, at Showmax. I've been here for the last 6 months, a little bit longer. That's how long we've been up and running. And I think I started about 2 months before that, having spent the previous 7 years at the big evil giant Vodacom, which I thoroughly enjoyed, so I shouldn't call it evil. But it was time for something new. So this has been a heck of a change of pace for me. Small company, Showmax, with less than 100 people. We're sort of dotted across the globe. I'm coming to you from Dubai. We've got guys out in Amsterdam. We've got guys in SA. We've got engineering guys out in Prague, which is always good for a visit. And the very brief sales pitch is we've got the largest subscription video on demand catalog in Africa. Got more than 12,000 hours, which doesn't seem to mean anything to anyone, so I'll try the other way. We've got more than 20,000 episodes of TV shows and movies in one spot. So yeah, and that's us in a nutshell.
There we go. And Showmax, obviously, you guys did come out first here in South Africa to have the streaming video. Like I said, I have had it installed. Very impressive, I must say. And is it a South African company?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we're part of Naspers. Interestingly, we're not part of MultiChoice, so we don't report into MultiChoice. It was one of the questions that I asked before I took this job, because we compete with DSTV. I mean, for some people, if you want the absolute latest episode, or if you want the live sports, you want the news, you're going to want DSTV. If you want to sit back and watch Dexter from beginning to end, you're going to want a Showmax. Some people want one, some want the other, some want both. So yes, we report directly into Naspers. As I said, we've kind of got people dotted over the world, so I'm not entirely sure what I would call this anymore. But let's call it a South African born company.
I suppose, yeah. With the parent company being Naspers, you would essentially fall under that. So it's always been something that's interested me. As I'll my cards on the table, I absolutely despise MultiChoice.
I won't tell them.
That's fine. I'm sure they couldn't care less. But I've always had an issue with basically paying such a premium amount for essentially one or two things that I want. Okay, so as we we know, you can stream the majority of your media these days from the media streaming application or provider of your choice. The one thing that hasn't really caught up is sports, and that's the only reason I would want to have DSTV. The only reason. I don't, I even DSTV on demand for me. Why would I have DSTV on demand if I can just stream and go to your webpage and go, I'd like to watch this episode of this program now. Start. So, from my side, two words, sake and side. For my sake and from my side, the one thing that I've always been interested in is Showmax going to progress to the point where they can kind of leverage MultiChoice's sports bundles and try and work something out. I can imagine it must be a hell of a difficult thing to get into, but that's my focus.
Yeah, no, and trust me, I would dearly love to have the sports on Showmax. I think we would be a slam dunk with that. But I guess I think it's one of those things. Never say never, but at the moment, no, that one's not on the cards.
Yeah, it's understandable. And with the licensing and everything, I think I'm not sure how many years it's still licensed to MultiChoice for the majority of sporting events in South Africa, well, SABC and MultiChoice, but.
Well, one day. And sorry, you know a lot of the arguments already that it's it goes back to we watch all the wonderful TV shows where seeing the footballers and the lifestyles of the rich and famous, and sometimes we don't quite connect. Well, they get these huge salaries, and we hear about these huge transfer fees. Where did that money come? Oh, that was your DSTV subscription. So that's how it all fits together. So to hit a 99 Rand price point for Showmax, you'd never be able to do. To do it, so I think it's one of those things we're never going to never say never. But at the moment I don't think the economics would work.
100%. That's good. I think it's completely understandable. It would be something that would be nice to see at some point. Eventually, I'd like to think that terrestrial TV will just die out completely, or even satellite TV will just die out completely. There's no real point. It's the same as landlines.
Well, I have one other suggestion. You could do Showmax and pub. See, now for the sports. So, it's a good excuse because you need to see the
there
sports.
We go. But the problem is, and this has happened to me on more than one occasion, I generally want to go and watch either the cricket or the football, and then I'll get to the pub, and it'll be the rugby will be on 99.9% of the time, which... South Africa, very much a rugby nation, not as much of a football nation. So,
yeah, good point.
That's fine. I could just sit and drink a beer and watch the rugby. I'm sure I'll be okay. So Marco won't complain too much. I don't actually know if you're a rugby fan, Marco.
I am not a sports fan, actually.
Just
even though I look like a rugby player, I never liked it. No cricket, no soccer,
that's
football,
fine.
Whatever.
There's not been any international cricket in the last few days. It was all cancelled, so
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. If you're watching this on Monday night, nothing happened on Sunday. There was no football, no rugby, definitely no cricket. Okay,
I'm so glad how my Twitter feed is clean.
Yeah, no, you'll be all right.
Every Sunday, there's something happened in the football or something. I'm like, what is this language you're speaking?
Yeah, your Twitter feed. As long as your Twitter feed remains clear, then you're okay.
Yeah.
So Richard, so you're an Englishman. You've worked for Vodacom. You're now in Dubai working for Showmax. So pretty well travelled. That's got to be an interesting lifestyle. I mean, but why Dubai? What's apart from a lot of money, what else is there that Showmax is focused on?
I can confuse things even more. I know my accent is fairly distinctive. I actually English, but grew up in the States, so I've had 10 years there, 15 years in South Africa. In fact, I think I've done more time in South Africa than I've had in the UK. So bits of everything. Absolutely. And yeah, just been in Dubai for the last 3 months now. Why am I here, or why is Showmax here? I mean, I think it's not letting the cat out of the bag to say that we think that Showmax is bigger than just South Africa. And certainly there's just some very basic things from a travel point of view. Dubai's a great hub. So if I need to get to other spots, it's actually a lot easier to get there from here than say from SA. So, I guess just planning ahead a little bit there.
That does make a lot of sense. So, yeah, I mean, getting anywhere from here is a massive pain. And I've flown into Dubai a few times on my way back to England. Interesting place. I've only ever seen the inside of the airport, but I think the last time I landed there, it was 1 o'clock in the morning and it was 30 degrees. And I was just like, I couldn't do this.
Yeah, and it's like Walking Dead, all the zombies in the airport. Well, so we're, at the moment, this is the nice part of the year, but I hear give it another month or so and I won't want to leave any building. So it could be fun.
It's like, you just need to invent a little portable air conditioning unit you can just carry around with you. That'll work. Okay, cool. Well, so let's talk about catalogue. It's one of the big things for any streaming service. For me, the two main things are how quickly you get new content. So obviously, a new series comes out that becomes popular. Take, Jessica Jones? I haven't seen it.
That's the other guys. We won't mention that one. Game of Thrones.
No, that's fine. Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, whatever it may be. Actually, The Walking Dead, I still need to sit down and watch the episode from last week. I haven't yet.
It's a doozy.
I have heard so. I've heard it's absolutely mental. But so there's all these programs. They're coming out all the time. You never really know what's going to take off, what isn't. From a personal standpoint, I can't stand The Arrow and The Flash, so I'm never going to watch them. But they have a massive international following. So how do you? Your catalog's got to be one of the biggest things. Getting hold of international content from South Africa can't be the easiest thing in the world. We've got the exchange rates not exactly working in our favor, so you're paying through the nose for licensing for anything that you want from Hollywood. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure everything out. How do you maintain a catalog of the size that you guys do?
I don't envy our content guys. It's a heck of a job because on the one side, of course we want to run out and buy everything that everyone wants. But there's no way on earth you're then going to hit 99 rands a month. And as you rightly point out, especially when, from when we launched till now, I think the rands lost sort of 20% if not more, if not 30% against the dollar. And that's a direct cost increase to us. So what you got to do is to get that mix of get some of the big name stuff in there. So we were first in there with Breaking Bad. Now Breaking Bad is actually going off fairly shortly and may well pop up on somebody else's service. But the point is you need to get the big names on there to get people onto the service. And then it's a game of content discovery. That's where you start to get clever. It's the trying to say, okay, if you liked this, then what about trying this show? Because the second you get into people searching for content, by and large you lose, because it's always going to be, I wanted Firefly, or I was always I feel like I know you guys. I can talk my geek here.
You can quite happily.
I was a Stargate guy. Loved my Stargate. I was still gutting when they cancelled SGU. But something like that, I'm like, right, okay, let me go hunt for this thing. And of course it's not going to be there, because there's only 10 people that, like me, that actually wanted to watch that show. Okay, 11.
SGU was fantastic. I don't know if, Marco, did you ever see it? If you can get your hands on it, highly recommend it. They did so well. And what was it, one season, or did they make it to two?
The SGU?
I'm not sure. SGU. No, they did a couple. There was a few, but then it was just, boop, gone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So I guess, the content, sorry for interrupting.
So what I was going to say is that's the challenge for that team, that they need to get enough of the big name stuff to draw you in, but then it's a game of there's a lot of other stuff that you may not have been a headline for you, but actually it's really good. And again, I use the example of something like a Dexter, that if you hadn't have seen Dexter in the beginning, but a lot of people had talked about it, I mean, it's an epic show. But if you're on your, I guess, not to run down my sister company here, the DSTV, but if you're on DSTV and you happen to be on season 5, episode 3, and walk into it, you're going to have no clue. And that's where a Showmax comes in. You go back to season 1, episode 1, and off you go. So the game with the content, guys, is big names plus the depth on there, plus trying to get the content discovery right. And in terms of timing, that's where it comes to be a bit of fun. So everyone always goes, well, I want to see the absolute latest. Well, yeah, we'd love to have the absolute latest for you, but we wouldn't hit $99 a month in order to do that. So Game of Thrones is an example. I mean, at the moment we're up to date, but shortly you're going to get season 6. I think it is starting. Is it 6, 7, 6? 6.
I think it's 6. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So you're going to get that starting. That's going to be on satellite first. We can't, again, at our price point, we can't pay that money to get it straight away. So it's probably going to be a year before we get it on, onto Showmax. Not a year, but it's certainly going to be a while. Is that a disappointment? Maybe, but I think the point is you can't watch all of the series all of the time, and that's where SVOD services, where the internet TV services come in, because then you can catch all those ones you didn't see. Like, I mean, in my case, I'm looking at my notes here, but it was Ray Donovan. I'd heard about it, never watched it, caught it now on Showmax. I'm like, okay, no, this is cool. And it you know, it's not as though it dates, well, maybe eventually it does, but it's not as though I've lost out by not watching it the second it came out. So that's the content game. And the other part, obviously, there are other bits to this about local content, local language content. So, I mean, we've got basically the entire back catalog on SABC. We have a bunch of programming from Zanti Magic. We've got a bunch from CakeNet. And that's something that would set us apart from somebody like a Netflix. Well, and purely the size of the catalog, we're actually a hell of a lot bigger than the catalog that Netflix has in SA. But the local language, I think, is the other part that you can set yourselves apart. And it's actually been, for us, it's been amazing. The one of the highest rated shows, and the content guys hate it if I say what were the good ones, what were the bad ones. They think I'm giving something away. But Molly and Vorse. Now, I didn't grow up in SA. I don't know, but
something in sausage.
But yeah, exactly. But this show, which was, I don't know when it was big, I'm guessing the 80s, maybe it was later than that, but, that had huge numbers of people watching it. So, it's interesting. Yes, you get the Game of Thrones, Big Bang Theory, guys wanting that, but they're also watching the local content.
That's good. That's actually quite nice to hear, because I was always curious about that, not having grown up in South Africa and not having the link to it. So, I mean, I watch, especially I've got a son who's 8, and especially now with him at this age, I'm introducing him to all the things that I used to watch when I was a kid, like that old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that I absolutely loved, and like Darkwing Duck, and just all these, which you can't just go and find. And no one shows those programs on TV anymore, but you can occasionally just find them. So I can understand why, what is it, Molly and Vorse?
Molly and Vorse.
Molly and Vorse. So I can understand why people would be watching it.
Lipstick, which okay. And my Afrikaans is amazing, I think.
It's probably as good as mine. It's the guys, they often get a chuckle out. They used to have a little thing where they used to make me try and pronounce a very long Afrikaans word, which we stopped doing because I'm appalling at it. But I can understand why that. So a Molly and Vorse would be, like a recapturing your childhood kind of thing. If you grew up watching,
exactly.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, we've got to sit down and watch this and get the memories and nostalgia, and that's pretty cool, though. I like that. So yeah,
Sorry.
Go. No, go for it.
I was going to say we've taken that one step further now, and so we took all the CakeNet content and we've launched what's called CakeNet International, and that's going for the diaspora market. It's all the South Africans that are now living in Canada and the US and Netherlands, UK, New Zealand, Australia, and there's a weird one. I think it's Indonesia. That one I don't understand. But anyway, so so if you go to showmax.com in one of those countries, from licensing rights point of view, you're not going to get the Hollywood stuff. But what you will get is an even larger selection of the Afrikaans language content, and that's actually airing on Showmax the day after it's live in SA, by and large.
Oh, wow.
So that one we launched just late last year, and we've seen good traction on that as well. So we're already expanding, I guess, away from the just the South African market.
Oh, fantastic! Very happy to hear that. And obviously, I have to be. I mean, words and things that I say. I have got Showmax and Netflix purely because I want the best of both worlds. So there's some things that you guys have, there's some things that they have, there's some things that you both have. So I use both, and I'll make my decisions down the line. But at the moment, I mean, I'm paying basically 200 Rand, well, 200 and a bit Rand for essentially anything I want, which is fantastic. I started watching, I think, Brooklyn Nine-Nine with you guys, with Showmax. Love that show. I started watching Ray Donovan as well. Very, very similar story to yours. I missed it completely. Didn't see it. Even my sister in the UK, who's quite clean cut and she's very prim and proper and she's a good English girl. So she'll now tell me to Ray Donovan off.
Nice.
So it's become a little bit of a little part of the family. But now I finally understand why she was there. Like I've pretty much figured it out. I'm not that slow that when she goes, "Oh, Ray Donovan off," and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I know what you mean." But now I understand, and it's a great show. So yeah, I'm busy working my way through that, and I don't think I know anyone apart from my mother, maybe, who actually watches things once a week these days. Like I can't do it.
And I think
binge.
It's interesting that you're a case study in exactly, I think, what we expect to see or what we've seen elsewhere. A lot of the time in the media, this is presented: is it a Showmax or is it Netflix? Which one are you going for? In other countries, generally people subscribe to more than one service because you're never going to get a subscription video on demand service like a Spotify, which arguably has almost everything in one spot, or an Apple Music, whatever it's called. Those music services are quite comprehensive. The video game is a little bit different, and you're not, as an example, you've got studios who are also competing with Netflix. So, HBO, Time Warner, all these guys, they also, HBO's launched its own service. So they're not going to always sell their stuff to a Netflix, but they potentially would sell it on to another, whether it's a Showmax or somebody else. So typically there is space in the market for more than one service. I guess the point is we aim to be one of those services.
Absolutely. I think, well, from what I've seen so far, I mean, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't be. I'm really happy to support your company. I think you guys have done a great job. Yeah, at the end of the day, no. I'm one of those people, I have no real brand loyalty. Like, I don't care who's got the biggest brand name or, that kind of thing. If you provide me with a good service, that's what I want. So I need to be able to stream my content. I want it to be content that I like. I want there to be a decent amount of it. And then I'm happy. So, I mean, it's the same as Xbox and PlayStation. The oldest argument, or iPhone and Windows Mobile, the two of the oldest conversations and arguments in the world, well, in the gaming world.
Yeah.
I've got a PlayStation, and I've got an Xbox, and I've got a PC. Because some have things that the others don't. There's places where one will be better than the other. So in the States, a lot of my friends over there have Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah.
In the States. Yeah. So and that's the way that I view it over here. It shouldn't be. I've completely blanked on the word now. It shouldn't basically be limited to you may only have one of these services. I don't think that should ever be for the price of it. For a third of the price of DSTV, I've got access to 2 streaming services. I mean, I'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's the killer in not just South Africa, I guess across Africa is the data aspect. Because when you sort that out, so I'm guessing you have a nice big fat pipe into your house. You've got an uncapped or a high data cap service. Yep. For you, it's a no-brainer. Because the incremental cost of a Showmax or a Netflix is very small. For a fresh cord cutter who doesn't have that fiber or ADSL into their house, that's where it becomes more of a challenge. And obviously there are things, and I actually didn't mean to segue into my sales pitch on that, but there are things that we're trying to do on that front to sort of ease the pain. And that, what I'm referring to here are downloads. So on Android and now on Apple, you can download the content, and the idea onto your cell phone or onto your tablet. The idea there is there's a hell of a lot of South Africa that isn't going to have a fat data pipe at home anytime soon, but they still want to watch these shows. And often people are at some point in the day connected. It might be the coffee shop. It might be, dare I say, at work. I guess it'll be a high cost thing if I find that Showmax is being blocked everywhere. Then we're at all workplaces we're doing something. But the point is, if you're connected at some point in the day, download a couple of shows, then you go home, and watch. Yeah. We're just about to crack the other part of this, because at the moment you go home and now you're watching on your iPhone or on your iPad. Okay, that's nice, but you've spent a fortune on a big TV. You want to watch it on that. So very soon we will have Chromecast up and running, which is one of the things that we've been beaten up for left, right, and center, and also AirPlay, and also Apple TV, 4th gen Apple TV. I'll quickly say, but the AirPlay sorts you on the other Apple TV. So that's where it gets more interesting. And I think, actually, let me not speak to the Apple stuff for a second. I think that the Chromecast is the most interesting, because that's where you can play the downloaded content straight to your TV. So we're working on solutions for the African market, for the particular issues that we have. I say issues, wrong way of putting it. For the constraints we have in South Africa. And I guess that's another thing that we think we're doing that would separate us from some of the big international services. One of the other things we've done is voucher. You can buy a Showmax voucher. All right, doesn't sound very interesting, but otherwise you have to have a credit card. Not everyone has a credit card, or even if we got beaten up when we launched. The people saying, "I don't want to give you my credit card. I've got one, but I don't want to give you the details." So now you can wander off to Pick and Pay and go and buy a voucher.
However, and there's multiple subscription length vouchers, I'm assuming, so you can pick and choose.
Exactly, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and again, the shameless sales pitch. It's the kind of thing you can buy for somebody else. So suddenly, I know that holiday season,
that exact thing,
has already passed us, but that's the kind of thing. Crikey, I don't know what to get Dad. I don't know what to get Uncle John. Well, here, the vouchers are a way to go. So there's a lot of things that we're doing along those lines to tailor the service to South Africa. And I think that's one of the reasons why we think this tiny company of 100 people that started 6 months ago has any prayer against a company that's got 75 million subscribers worldwide.
Well, to be honest, I think you guys have been doing well. It's everyone that I know who streams used Showmax. Majority of people have stayed. Some obviously made the jump. Some people made the jump and then immediately made the jump back when they found out that the Netflix they were signing up for is not the same thing as the Netflix in the States or in Europe, and it doesn't have their full catalog. So I think you guys have. I think you can be very proud of what you guys have done, in my opinion. So that's good.
Thank you. It's said the guys have worked really hard, and I'll be the first to admit that we not everything is as slick as the company that shall not be named. But we got off the ground, we got up and running, and immediately people started on where's the Chromecast? Where is the AirPlay? And to something you touched on, where's the Xbox? Where's the PlayStation? So it is, and trust me, we've been working flat out on all of those things. But I'm proud of the guys in terms of what they in 6 months from a standing start to get to the point where we're very shortly have at least some of those major devices supported. Actually, and by the way, that's an interesting point. When the guys first spec'd out Showmax, they didn't look at lean back viewing. This is before I joined the company in any serious capacity. The view was mobile is where it's at. So we're going to do all the mobile apps, and it was very last minute that the smart TV apps actually made it in. So the Samsung and LG smart TV, and it's one of the things we got wrong. It turns out that certainly in South Africa, yes, people are watching on mobile, but lean back viewing, so something to play on the big screen TV is actually hugely important. So we've had to shift gears and very rapidly get the development guys working on on the support for the other media players. So no, it was just interesting that what we thought wasn't what transpired.
They did a good job then. If it was a quick thing that they had to get working on the TVs, the app works very, very nicely. I have to be honest. It's intuitive. It works. It's an app. It does it does the things it's supposed to do.
If I dare mention Apple TV, the Apple TV app, the 4th gen, that one's looking very nice. I'm really excited to when we actually get that launched.
I'll have to see. I don't run any Apple products in my house at the moment, but my father he's got a Mac and an iPhone and an Apple TV, which I bought him, which frankly hurt me while I was doing this. Handed over my credit card going, I don't want this to appear on my bill. Like, it felt like a dirty little secret where it's going to appear and my bank manager's going to phone me going, why are you buying Apple? What are you doing?
You put the sticker on your car, go on, admit it.
Never. I've got one sticker on my car, and that's a Gears of War cog skull thing, which just looks weird now because when I bought the car, I was a lot younger and it was okay. And now I pick up my son from school and it's like, yes, hi, other parents. Don't worry, I'm not that weird. So no, the Apple TV, I'm not a huge fan of, but I will most probably end up checking it out on my old man's. He'll eventually get the upgrade to the 4th generation, and then he's also busy looking at this going streaming route. So very, very soon I'll be able to see it. So yeah, and hopefully it'll work. I'm sure it'll work well. The Apple products are usually, the remote's nice. It's all well put together. The menu systems the UI is very nicely done. So if it ties in with that, then I think you guys will be onto a winner.
And interestingly, I mean, your dad is actually, in a sense, I wouldn't say the target market, but that's the one we've got to crack. You, tech savvy. That one, it's not so difficult. You understand exactly what you're playing with already, and it's quite intuitive, and you've seen it other places. It works. The challenge that we have is explaining to people who don't have that level of sort of techiness in them. Okay, what is this thing? How do I get it? Why do I want it? So that's been my big challenge as the comms guy, is to try and get people talking about Showmax outside of the tech circles. Trying to get, we're talking to mommy bloggers as an example. Okay, well, let's explain to a mom blogger what is, or it could be a daddy blogger, what's why is something like this interesting? Oh, well, if you're on a long trip to Durban and you download a bunch of episodes of, and I'm trying to think what's Shaun the Sheep. I love Shaun the Sheep. So you download your Shaun the Sheep and and go. It's a way of keeping the peace.
Stick their headphones in and let the kids have their
exactly. And if you can explain that usage case, then you can win those guys over, and that's how you grow the market. I mean, so the US, the UK, huge streaming video market. South Africa, that big, but the potential is there. We just need to do a better job of explaining why on earth you want to even look at this thing. And
hopefully our lines will start to be a bit better as well, so that we have less issues. Because nothing worse than a buffering screen. I mean, I've got a 10 meg line, and every now and then, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'll be watching a YouTube video, and all of a sudden it'll auto put itself down to 144p, and then it'll still buffer, because my line's just gone, I don't know what this stuff is, it's too much, I can't cope, but it's all fallen over. So,
I shed a tear. I got my fiber here. I think it's only 60 megs, but I went onto YouTube straight to the 4K videos, and just a little tear. There was no hesitation, no
buffering at all. You just click play and it just went. See,
I have not seen a buffer yet. It's actually incredible. Sorry,
That's fine. One day we'll have a fiber to the home. It's getting there.
It is, and that's what I know from my days at Vodacom. Vodacom's spending it as one company, but other ones as well, a fortune digging up the streets, connecting the base stations with fiber, so you've got the throughput to run the 4G LTE. But those fiber cables, the capacity is effectively almost unlimited. So the cell phone companies are going, well, let's just branch off that and stick it into this estate, that estate. So it is coming, and that's why we launched when we did. We know it's coming. And do you want to wait until after the fact, or do you want to be ready for it? And that was, I guess, that was our thinking.
I know that CCOM they released something a little while ago. And I don't know how widely they released this information, but take it as rumor. It's nothing set in stone. But apparently, the CCOM cable, which is our largest undersea cable, is sitting at something like 80% unutilized.
I can believe it. Yeah,
massively dropped the price in order because they've got. I mean, they're not making money. I mean, even if they half the price and then sell twice the amount, they're not They don't have to lay out any more cash. They're still only using 40% or something of what they could potentially be, but the knock-on, as it becomes cheaper, people will be buying more and more and more bandwidth, and they'll be providing more to the Vodacoms, to everyone else, and that will then trickle down to us. So I'm hoping that rumor is true, and that they are grossly underutilizing the CCOM cable, and that we will start to see more reductions in our internet line prices and the data prices, because I do have uncapped. But I mean, it's 600 Rand a month, which is very good for a 10 meg uncapped.
Yeah.
And they don't, and it's with Vox, and they don't seem to limit me much at all. I mean, I've got my Steam running. I play a lot of video games. My son plays on his computer, so we've got Steam downloading like a 40 gig game and downloading updates all the time. So like, it's very easily will hit a terabyte of data in a month.
Wow,
yeah, it's a lot. But this is streaming. This is my son watching. He watches Minecraft videos like you wouldn't believe. Like I didn't know that there was so much going on in Minecraft that you could just watch 12 hours of Minecraft videos when you're supposed to be asleep, but you're lying in bed with an iPad going. But apparently, if you're 8 years old, it's possible. So we churn through data like you wouldn't believe. Plus, I run a small YouTube channel, so I'm uploading data as well. That's the killer for me.
Well, and it's one of the other things that we've done, again, shameless sales, but actually maybe it is relevant here. I was talking about how we've localized the service. So we're trying to do things to tackle the challenges you have in South Africa. So that was the downloads, that's the vouchers. The other thing we're doing is local partnerships. So it's working with guys like Telkom, who obviously were the enemy when I was at Vodacom, but now they're my friends.
Your friends, yeah.
No, so with Telkom, you've got basically zero. If you're signing up for a certain package, zero rated data for Showmax. So you can watch as much Showmax as you want, and it doesn't count. Doesn't count to any of your data caps. It was just a one-off. Monthly payment, and we got something similar running with MWeb, and there's a lot more that we can do on that front. Also working with the guys on FTTH to, it's a bit of a chicken and egg to try and explain to somebody, why would you want FTTH? Because you can watch things like Showmax, but also put it the other way, if you have FTTH, then you're dumb if you don't have a Showmax or Netflix or something like that. So that's the other big thing we're working on, is those local partnerships to try and help get around this pain on data.
Yeah, it is a killer. I mean, I don't know how Marco, I don't know how you find it, because you started using Showmax now fairly recently, as far as I understand.
Yes, and like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. I mean, if you're uncapped.
Yes, I'm uncapped 4 meg, but it's a bit slow. I don't know, this area I'm in is not very good. So, my speeds are not optimal.
But you can pause. I mean, it's still watchable. You made it through. You made it through 3 seasons of the Vikings, so it must have been all right. So even on a 4 meg line,
720p is 720p. That's my height for my line.
Yeah, well, for mine, I mean, I don't play things in 1080, even though I can potentially. I'd rather just put it in 720 and have a smoother experience. Our lines just over here just aren't. I don't think they're definitely not ready for 4K.
I found some interesting little sort of factoids out as well, that some of the time things like buffering, it just comes down to slow lines and those kind of issues, but. Also, it can be something silly, like apparently the Wi-Fi cards on a lot of the TVs aren't fabulous. So if you're connecting you're watching on a smart TV and connecting the smart TV via Wi-Fi to the router, as opposed to with a fixed with an actual physical connection, that can even impact the quality of what you're seeing. But again, this is where I think things like downloads get exciting, because on there you can choose the quality level as well. So you can manage your data usage.
So you can actually say to it, right, you know what, I am only going to be watching this on a tablet. I don't need to download a lot. I can just do it in 480p. It's fine on on an iPad. You don't need HD content.
So if
you're in that place,
on downloads you can do that, and then on the live streaming, it's I forget what the term was, but it's dynamic, as in, it's constantly
your bitrate, yeah.
Exactly, thank you, dynamic bitrate. So it is doing that, and I think we have had people coming to us saying, yeah, that's fine, but we would like to still be able to choose, and again, those are the kind of added value things that we definitely do want to add onto the service. It takes a bit of time to, and it's, do you want that first or do you want PlayStation? Okay, because we can't do both at the same time. So that, those are the kind of challenges that we have from a development point of view.
It's interesting, yeah. So that's quite an interesting drive. You've mentioned Xbox, PlayStation, the iTunes, the Apple TV.
Yeah.
So, but PlayStation and Xbox as traditional gaming consoles that have now kind of slightly evolved into more of an entertainment system with, I know that the other service, which shall not be named, has an app on Xbox. I know that Pizza Hut has an app on Xbox in the States. Wow. So, you don't have to stop playing your game to order your pizza. You can just boop, press your Xbox button. Oh, yeah, give me this. Right, cool, charge it. And it delivers to you.
Wow.
Which is, a little bit scary, especially if you've read a book called Blind Faith by Ben Elton, which, if you haven't, highly recommend it. Phenomenal book about dystopian futures. If you like that kind of thing, it's amazing. So it's it's about the advancement of technology, and as you read the book, and I think I read it about 10 years ago, and at that time I was like, oh my god, this stuff's happening already. And now you read it and you're like, oh shit, we're all screwed. It's over. So the entertainment systems now, as they used to be consoles, so how much of a push is there to get the Showmax app on there? I mean, is it a very, very real one, or is it still not quite there yet?
It's a very real push, but it is going to take a bit of time. And I know I'm sort of talking to the wrong crowd when I here. I mean, as in hardcore gamers, I wish
biased.
I could. Yeah, and I wish I could be more positive. I mean, let me put it this way: that the big push so far has been to get the Chromecast, the Apple TV, the AirPlay sorted. The next things on the agenda are the gaming consoles. We have done some work already. It's going to take a little bit of time. But interestingly, I randomly came across a study. I was looking at my notes this morning on this, and it was looking at what are the media players going to be on streaming media, or what are the growth rates. And they're saying that the dedicated streamers, and that's the Apple TV, the Chromecast, they are predicting, and this was a thing called IIB, predicting 18% compound annual growth rate out to 2021 in the number of these being shipped. Game consoles, they're saying 2%. So in terms of, but obviously, meanwhile, you've got a big installed base on the game consoles.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess you could argue that one either way. But, something like a Chromecast, not that they're not so easy to come by an essay at the moment, but assuming that does happen, I mean, $30, $35, they really are cheap bits of kit. So I guess we're hoping to an extent that we can also entice people over onto those platforms, or at least while we're still getting everything else sorted. In the end, the intention is whatever you want to watch us on, we should be there. It just takes a bit of time, and it costs money.
Absolutely. No, I tell you what. Then I have a small suggestion, which you may take or leave as you wish.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of XBMC. XBMC, so it was originally Xbox Media Center, came from the original Xbox. It then kind of took on a life of its own and became a completely separate entity. It's now called Kodi, Kodi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so that is hands down. I've got a little Raspberry Pi unit, which I run Kodi on, which I absolutely love. So it connects into YouTube, it connects into Twitch, it connects into quite a few of my streaming things, which my TV doesn't support. That might be an interesting place for you to have a look at.
The guys, interesting, they have been looking there. They've looking, and I know I'm mixing apples and oranges here, but Roku as well, one of the other ones. I think interestingly, the Chromecast, the Chromecast, when we update the Android app for Chromecast, officially that's for Android smartphones, Android tablets. It appears that it probably is going to run on a fair number of Android boxes as well, but it's not something that we're going to be officially providing support for. But that one also might be interesting. And the reason I say not officially providing support, we don't want to promise somebody this thing is going to work flawlessly on one of, multiple different boxes. Yeah. And then if there is an issue, then, it's, again, trying to provide that support gets quite difficult. But it looks as though it may well work wider than just smartphones and tablets, which I think is pretty cool.
No, that'll be good. Yeah, I mean, I've been working with some mobile app, some app developers and some mobile devs recently, and the amount of testing they have to go through, and the amount of testing tools are out there that specifically cater to an environment where you can attach 20 different types of phones in order to be able to say, right, let's test this app on this phone, let's test this app on this phone, so that they can make sure that Android, this version, it works. iPhone 6. But without this update, like with the slightly lower firmware, it still works there. It's crazy. So yeah, so should work on most Android systems, but yeah, obviously cannot be supported across the board because there's just too many.
Certainly, yeah,
that's understandable.
Let me put it that way. I mean, we have been beefing up the development team massively, by the way. I mean, we sort of doubled the size of that team in a very, very short amount of time. So, I mean, I don't want to give the sense we're not taking it seriously. This is our lifeblood. If we can't get it onto the device you want to watch it on, then we're not going to win. So there is a huge effort going on there. I guess the one thing I just, plead a little bit of patience in the sense that, not that nobody wants to be told to be patient, but we've been going 6 months. We've already sort of, shortly have a whole bunch of new devices up there, and we aim to keep rolling out more after that.
That'll be great. That'll be really fantastic. I think we're probably going to have to roll it off soon because I've just seen what the time is. It's starting to tick on. We're going past our allotted time. So I have a habit of doing that. Unfortunately, I waffle a lot. So I apologize.
No. It's been fun to have a good conversation. It's the antithesis of a lot of interviews, put it that way.
Well, this is the way that I'd never want this podcast to devolve into essentially me sitting here going, point 1, point 2, point. When it gets to that point, that's the point where I hang up my headset and go and do something more constructive with my life. Marco,
wear the unicorn.
Oh, whilst wearing the unicorn hat, of course, because it's a very beautiful thing. Marco, so anything from your side? Sorry, mate, I know we've kind of just steamrolled our way through this whole thing, and I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I had a bunch of questions over here, and you answered them all perfectly. It was kind of uncanny.
See, this is a nice thing with I think of probably all of us in GeekNode, and the majority of people who are like-minded. We are like-minded. We all think in the same ways. We all have the same concerns, the same desires, the same wants from our products that we buy into. I think it says a lot for your product that so many people have. I'm not sure what your user base is up to at the moment, but I know that it's continued to grow. And I'm hoping that it will continue to go from strength to strength, because the more players in any market, the better. There's for the consumer, obviously, without the market becoming saturated, but we all know that monopolies don't work. Telcom, even though they're your friends now, so we can't. Okay, that's me saying that. That's not from Richard. But yeah, so we know that monopolies don't work. So it's always good to see a South African version, an international version, different tastes, different things available in different places. And celebrate the fact that, some more people are going to enjoy this thing, more people are going to enjoy this thing. Whichever way it goes, for those individuals, there's got to be an answer for them, whether it's Showmax, whether it's something else. At the end of the day, the more people that end up with a consumer product that they can be happy with, and they sit down, they watch it, and they go, you know what, this is perfect. I made the right decision. That's fantastic. So I love seeing the local content that nobody else really cares about, sadly. No international company is going to touch our local content. I hate to be the one to say it, beyond ex-South Africans overseas. No one in America wants our TV. No one watches a goalie outside of Africa, as far as I'm aware.
And that's another opportunity for us. So we, expanding it from just the Afrikaans diaspora. So let's get the Zanzi Magic content also going out across the world. But I'm digressing totally, but I'm just looking. I to prepare for our discussion here, I was going to try and establish my geek credentials.
Okay, that's fine. We've still got time.
Right. So my claim to fame here is the very first movie I ever saw in the movie theater, Star Wars, 1977. I know, could I be that old? But yes, 1977.
You can't tell.
My gaming consoles, now it does peter off towards the end, but I did start with my Commodore 64, Atari 2600. I had the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, and I still don't remember, is it the same thing or not? I'm confused.
No,
but I was Googling it. I had the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, the Wii, and now I'm looking at the PS4. I've just got to get. And my favorite game of all time was Half-Life. Any
there you go. Choice. See, absolutely, and also you follow pretty much the same route that I did through my gaming career. So it was Commodore C64. I think it was the Amstrad. It was 2100, I think. I can't remember when I went to Amstrad. I'm not sure which one it was. Then it was the Master System, and then to the PlayStation 1. I skipped the Mega Drive because I didn't have my pocket money was too low. I didn't even realize that you were a gamer. So we apologise for that. So we kind of
I'm
entirely on the TV and the series.
Possibly an ex-gamer these days. I need to get back into it. Yeah.
Well, you never know. See, all you have to do is just, whenever anyone actually says it, just say, no, listen, I am coming back to gaming when Half-Life 3 is released. Then you're safe. You're safe then. Because you may never have to. But if you do decide to, then you're just like, I was tired of waiting. But otherwise, you just sit back and go, no Half-Life 3. I'm sorry, guys. I made a promise. I made a promise to myself I wouldn't play anything till Half-Life 3 came out.
Thank you. That's valuable. I'm going to use that.
It's a pretty safe bet. Okay, so we'll end it off now.
Great.
Is there any last things from your side, Richard?
No, listen, guys. I just really appreciate the chance to chat. It's been good fun, and as I said, I appreciate the enthusiasm and the support. It's a lot of the time in doing my job, you deal with cynical people, and it's actually good to just have a bit of a fun chat.
The scary thing is I am a massive cynic. Not a lot of people, but I'm only cynical about that. Once I'm cynical about something, I hate it. I despise, I'm that kind of a cynic. But if things are good, then I'm still happy. And right now, I'm very happy. So
awesome.
So yeah. So if you can make a cynic like me happy, then you've definitely done something right.
It made my day.
Excellent. Well, Richard, thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us. I'd love to have a chat with you again sometime if you'd like to, somewhere down the line. We'll try and we won't go entirely down the TVs and movies. We'll get some gaming stuff in, and we'll get some more geeky stuff, some more Stargate stuff. I'd like to see that show. I do want to see come back. It would be fantastic.
Let's start a petition.
Yes, okay, cool. I reckon we can do that. Marco, thanks a lot for joining us, mate. Like I said, I apologise for the steamrollering. It just kind of went but yeah, thanks a lot for coming through, and thank you for thinking the same way that I do. I love that our minds are like two parts of the same thing. But yeah, so and everyone who is listening, thank you for watching, listening, because it is a video podcast nowadays. We will see you next week. Until then, take care of yourselves.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.